Using DNA to find birth parents can be a rewarding adventure. Adoptees are not alone at facing unique challenges in tracing biological roots. Every non-parental event comes with a challenge. The techniques will be the same whether you're working with adoptees, uncovering illegitimacies, or finding intentional name changes. DNA testing should provide the essential clues for us to unravel the events going back multiple generations. It all starts with a DNA test. I use Ancestry because they have the largest number of DNA users and the largest number of family trees. Having good family trees is critical in the process of finding birth families. For you to help, the DNA match results need to be shared with you. Let's consider some scenarios. You're working with an adoptee that is no relation to you. You're working with an adoptee that is a DNA match to you. This is great because you already have an idea for half the answer. You know that one of your ancestors was adopted. You identify that one of your ancestors was illegitimate. You probably know who the mom is, but you still need to validate. No matter what the scenario is, the process is all the same. Comparing pairs or groups of DNA matches looking for a common ancestor. Scenario 1. Working with an adoptee that's not related to you. Start by taking the adoptee's DNA matches and grouping them by color or name and location. Some family history sites like Ancestry and MyHeritage allow you to color code and tag your DNA matches. If you haven't done this yet, stop watching and go do it. I'll wait. Ancestry provides 24 colors, and MyHeritage provides 30 colors and tags. Okay, Ancestry and MyHeritage, if you're listening to this right now, I need more colors. I have a lot of branches to tag. All you other websites out there, get off your ass and make color tagging available. Okay, we're back from commercial. Where was I? Oh yeah, colors and tags. As I figure out how my DNA match fits into my family history mystery, I'll tag it with a color and a surname. If I get a bunch of matches that all share DNA with each other, but I can't figure out what surname they go with, I'll tag them with a mystery group. When I get my next DNA match, I just use shared matches and look at the color tags, and I can immediately figure out where they belong. All those mystery groups that I've been collecting, I'll be able to use those to solve non-parental events or uncover other hidden secrets. Ancestry will try to differentiate your DNA matches into parent 1 and parent 2 automatically. This is a nice touch that I haven't seen elsewhere. Now, take your first match. How much DNA do they share? Do they have a good tree? What's the relationship? Perhaps your very first match is enough to solve half of the parental equation. Now remember, your match could be a half connection, meaning a half sibling or a half first cousin, etc. While looking at that first DNA match, select Shared Matches. Now, all of these shared matches are related and may have one or more common ancestors. You may want to take the whole group and tag them with one color and give them a label like Family Group 1. Now, review the family trees for this group. Are there any common surnames across multiple trees? If you can identify a common surname, you might want to relabel that Family Group 1 using that surname. Now, depending on how far up the family tree that common ancestor is, you might have just found your adoptee's grandparents or great-grandparents. Caution: you need to keep an eye on all the genetic relationships. As an example, the shared matches may point to a common ancestor at the grandparent level, but the relationship between the adoptee and the shared matches may show that they are second or third cousins. This means that the true common ancestor is back one or more generations. You need to keep searching back in time. You'll know that you have the correct common ancestors when your adoptees' DNA matches point to both sides of the family. Now imagine those common ancestors are Bob Jones and Janet Smith. Now Bob's family surnames are Jones and Brown, and Janet's family surnames are Smith and Green. When you search your adoptees' matches, you find all of those surnames and connections to an older generation. Now your research can continue in one of two directions. You can keep looking at DNA matches for that next highest amount of DNA shared. Then just repeat the process that we already did, creating more family groups. Eventually these family groups will start to connect. Add Bob and Janet and their children to your Scratchpad tree. Also add any spouses you can find for those children. Then review the spouses' family surnames. Take those surnames and search for them among your adoptees' DNA matches. You know you found the right child when your adoptee is also related to the spouse's family. Let's say that Bob and Janet are at the great-grandparent level, and we found their son Al and his wife Diane. Now she represents another family line. They're at the grandparent level. One of Al and Diane's children is one of your adoptee's parents. If they're all girls, then you found the mother lode. You found the mother's side of the family. Now, take a look at the children's ages. Can you rule any of them out? Were any of them married and having children when the adoptee was born? Were any of them living near the adoptee's birth location? Now, if you've got both boys and girls, you may have to wait until you solve the other side of the equation. To get to this generation, you may have needed to use techniques on finding the living. Check out my tech tidbit. At this point, you may have identified the mother or the father. In Ancestry, all the DNA matches associated with this parent can be relabeled by changing parent 1 or parent 2 to maternal or paternal. It's now time to look for the other parent. You should be able to repeat the process you used for the first parent. Use shared matches to group DNA into families with common ancestors. Find the families and surnames and add them to your working tree. Work from the set of common ancestors forward by looking at the children and their spouses. If you found the correct child, your adoptee will also be related to the spouse's family. Follow the generations forward using traditional genealogy methods. You are guaranteed to run into some issues, though. Some of your DNA matches are going to have crappy trees, and you're going to have to fix and build all their trees. Some of your DNA matches will have no tree at all, and you may need to try to figure out who they are based on their username alone. You can try using Google or take a look at my tech tidbit, Finding the Living. Now, you may not have enough matches at all in order to find that common ancestor, and you or your adoptee will have to transfer the results to another platform in order to hopefully find more matches.
More matches mean more adventures and more opportunities to solve family history mysteries. All DNA testing companies will allow you to download your DNA results, and you should, just for safekeeping. There are a number of companies that will allow you to upload your DNA results for free. Ancestry is not one of them. Companies that I use are Family Tree DNA, MyHeritage, and GEDmatch. GEDmatch provides the most tools for analyzing and comparing your DNA results for free. And for an extra fee, you get even more tools. Now for the testing companies that we actually pay for, they should get off their collective asses and learn from GEDmatch to provide more analysis tools. Because more uploads to more sites means more matches, period. I think this is my turn over here. You may have a lot of DNA matches that appear to be one family, but you can't find any common surnames. This can happen when the family is part of a culture or genealogical bottleneck where there's a lot of intermarriage. Within these DNA matches, they all appear to be closely related, but they're actually double or triple cousins with common ancestors that appear multiple times in the same tree. Genetically, they appear very close because they share so much common DNA, but they're actually much more distant. In this situation, you're going to need to wait for a very close DNA match to appear. Another issue that might come up is that on one or both sides, there may be multiple women or multiple men that could be the potential parent. A conversation or additional testing may be required. The adoptee needs to make a decision about contacting the family and who should make that contact. By using the finding the living techniques, you can find a telephone number to start that conversation. Many times I'm the one to make contact on behalf of the adoptee. I may be able to explain the situation better or provide a buffer if the encounter is negative. The range of responses from the bio family can cover the spectrum from denial to joy. Okay, get settled. In today's class, we're going to talk about the transitive law of genetic genealogy. Imagine you have a DNA match to person A. We'll call them Andy. And you have a DNA match to person B. We'll call them Bob. Now, when you look at your shared matches for Andy, you see Bob on the list of people with DNA in common. If A equals B and B equals C, you're C, then A equals C. There's a very high probability that you, Andy, and Bob all share a common ancestor. Now, if Andy and Bob have really good family trees, you should be able to go back in time and find a common great-grandparent, etc. That great-grandparent is probably also your ancestor. Now, most of the time when we make these connections, it's obvious what the relationship is to us. But sometimes we say, well, wait a minute, I know all my great-grandparents, and that's not one of them. Surprise! You're going to need a bigger tree. Questions? No? Class dismissed. Scenario 2. Working with an adoptee that is a DNA match with you. So, if you're a DNA match with your adoptee, then you already represent one member of the transitive relationship, the triangulation. Hopefully, you've already color-coded your DNA matches. Take a look at your adoptee's DNA matches. Find yourself among the matches and then click Shared Matches. The results should be cousins that you recognize. Now, you should be able to narrow it down even further to either your mother's side or your father's side of the family. Take yourself and these shared matches and color code them and add a surname. Also take a look to see who has the most amount of DNA in common and what is this relationship. You need to work your way back up your family tree until you find a set of common ancestors that you share with your known cousin. You know you'll find the right common ancestors when both sides share DNA matches with the adoptee. Now, repeat the process from earlier. You being a match to the adoptee should have made quick work finding that first parent. Now just repeat the basic steps to find parent 2. Scenario number 3. One of your ancestors was adopted. What if you know or find out that one of your ancestors was adopted? You may have all the answers you need in your own DNA results. By now, you should have color-coded all of your DNA matches and identified any mystery groups or surnames that just don't fit into your family tree. If your great-grandmother was adopted,
you should be able to look at your mystery groups for third and fourth cousins that have a common ancestor. Consider where and when your great-grandmother was born and which side of the family she was on. Then take a look at your mystery groups to see which ones fit the time, the place, and parent group. I have two situations where I have an ancestor that was adopted. One in 1915 in Boston, the other's 1880 in Scotland. Now I should be able to find two mystery groups for each of those locations, representing the birth parents. All of your mystery groups should have common ancestors. If not, keep looking. Using the steps of the adoptee scenario, start looking at the children of those common ancestors. Then narrow down the children in each generation until you get to the point where it's possible you're in the right place at the right time. For my Scottish group, I was able to narrow it down to 2 men until a new DNA match came along which provided enough information for me to identify my second great-grandfather. Now, in my Boston group, no one was going to believe it when I told them that I found our biological great-grandfather, even though I knew I was correct. Luckily, my bio great-grandfather married and had other children. I tracked these children down to the living and reached out. I was persuasive in getting one of them to test in order to validate my research. Paying for the test sweetened the deal. Now, to everyone's surprise, except mine, we got a positive result for a great-grandfather connection. In both of these situations, I was able to fill a large gap in my family tree and extend it multiple generations. Scenario number 4. One of your ancestors was illegitimate. While validating your family tree using DNA, you confirm that Grandma Smith's family goes back multiple generations, but you can't find any DNA matches that help you confirm Grandpa Smith's family. Maybe you didn't inherit enough DNA from Grandpa Smith. You could try testing one of your siblings. Or Grandpa Smith is not your biological grandfather. It happens. You need to find the real birth father. This is going to be a lot like an adoptee scenario, except you're only going to have one mystery group that fits the time and the place, and you're looking for a man. Recap. Find the mystery group that fits. Identify the common ancestors, and then work your way through their children until you find your biological grandfather. Now, don't be surprised if Grandpa Smith really is your grandfather and he just changed his name. Some of the clues you should be looking for is that Grandpa just shows up on the genealogical record out of nowhere. Now, he may have even kept his real first name and birth date. When you finally catch up with him on the other side of a mystery group, you may find that he was already married with children and then did a runner. The rest of the story you already know. Remember, each person's journey is unique. The search for biological family can be a lifelong process. If you can provide support, expertise, and guidance, you can make a significant difference in helping adoptees and others with non-parental events navigate the complexity of DNA research and help identify birth families.